What's up? What's the weatherman here? And it can't be a better man near to talk to you about this new box, Phoenix Blaze, that is hitting us soon. As you know, we're going to do this the same way we always do. Your boy Weatherman is going to be talking about the first half of this box, and Undead will be talking about the second half. So after you've clicked that subscribe button, hit that like button, and left a comment, I'm just going to jump right up into the video. So for starters, they've given us Shadal, which is dope. I'm actually really excited for this, and they've pretty much given us everything for Shadals that we could honestly want. So for one, they've given us Construct. This card lets us Foolish Burial a Shadal card to the graveyard, as well as if this card is sent to the graveyard, we could target a Shadal spell trap and add it to our hand. So that is pretty dope. It is also removal because if this card battles a special summon monster, we can destroy it at the start of the damage step. So that's pretty cool. Gravity Controller is not a Shadal, but it is an honorary Shadal. This is what we will be using to link off our Shadal Construct to get that card that we Foolish Burial to the grave. So that's pretty cool. Just thought I'd mention it while we are talking about Shadals. They also gave us pretty much everything we could ever want for the main deck. They gave us Windy, which is a special summon from the deck, and then if it's sent to grave by card effect, we'll special summon from the deck. So that's pretty dope. It also gave us the quick play fusion spell, El Shadal Fusion. We also got, I mean, let's just be real, we got all the main deck. We got Squamata, we got Hedgehog, we've got Dragon. This is pretty dope. These are all pretty dope. They all have two effects. Squamata both lets us pop a card on the field if it's flipped, and if it's sent to the grave by card effect, we can Foolish Burial a Shadal card. Dragon, if flipped, will let us bounce a card. If sent to grave by card effect, will let us target a spell trap on the field and pop it. Hedgehog here, if flipped, will let us search for a Shadal spell trap, and then if it's sent to grave by card effect, will let us add a Shadal monster. So this is pretty dope. We've got the entire archetype, to be honest with you. We also got Sinister Shadow Games, which I was not fully sure if we would play, but I thought I would mention it because it does seem like it might be all right to play. We could send a Shadal card from our deck to grave and then change any number of face down defense Shadal monsters to face up. So that's pretty cool. That might actually come up and be really relevant in the future. We did also get a skill, which is pretty dope. So at the beginning of the duel, we could add a Shadal Window to our extra deck, add 3 Shadal Fusion to our main deck, and 1 Shadal Schism to our main deck. You can only special summon Shadal monsters during this duel, excluding special summons from our extra deck, which means that in our extra deck, we can actually special summon non-Shadal monsters, which is really dope because this deck does actually play the invoked archetype in real life. So we may actually be using that in Duel Links. So that's pretty cool. We may still be able to play the invoked archetype potentially. And we may even get some more invoked monsters in the future. However, let's just get into the cards that the skill is giving us. They gave us Schism, which is a continuous trap that lets us fusion summon a Shadal monster by banishing fusion material from our field and or graveyard. It can't attack directly, but after we summon this monster, immediately after, we then can send one monster from our opponent's field to the graveyard that has the same attribute as the monster we just fusion summoned. If we summon Construct, which is a light monster, we'll be able to non-target send a light monster our opponent controls to the grave, as well as, you know, summoning it in the first place via the trap. If we summon Window, which is a dark monster, we'll be able to non-target send one monster our opponent controls to the graveyard that is a dark monster. So that is nice. We have non-target, non-destruction removal in the deck via the skill. Shadal Fusion is really great. This is pretty much poly unless our opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. Then we could use monsters from our deck as fusion material. So that is actually really nice. And it is not like Lunalight Fusion, which only lets you use one monster from your deck. No, this card lets you use all the material from your deck if you want, as long as your opponent controls a special summon monster from the extra deck. Last and damn sure not least is El Shadal Window, which cannot be destroyed by an opponent's card effect and has the effect each player can only special summon monsters once per turn while this card is face up on the field. Then if this card is sent to the grave, you can target 1 Shadal spell trap in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So they pretty much gave us everything we could have ever asked for Shadals. I am really happy about that. They did give us a couple more cards I didn't really mention because they're not that relevant. They gave us Wendigo, which I'm not going to talk about. We're probably not going to play it. They also gave us Greista, which we're probably not going to play, but just thought I should mention it. We've also got some Winged Dragon of Ra support. They gave us Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode. Requires 3 tributes from either side of the field to normal summon. Then this card will shift control to this card's owner during the end phase of the next turn. It can't attack. Our opponent cannot target this card for attacks or target it by card effect. And then we could also tribute this card to special summon a Winged Dragon of Ra from our hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And then if we do make it 4K. So that's pretty dope. Spear mode is pretty dope. We've also got Immortal Phoenix here, which this card might be bait, might be a trap. Not really sure how good this card actually is. So it must be summoned by its own effect, and its own effect is pretty much if Winged Dragon of Ra sent to grave while this card's in the grave, then we could summon this from the graveyard, and then if we do that, it'll be unaffected by card effects. So I mean, that's kind of cool. It'll also pay a stack to send a monster our opponent controls to the grave, so it does have non-target removal at the cost of a stack. It does also send itself to grave though during the end phase, and if we do, we'll special summon one Winged Dragon of Ra, ignoring its summoning conditions. This card is also 4K. I'm not sure if this card will actually be good or if this card is just bait, but I guess we'll just have to see what the future holds. They also gave us Millennium Revelation. You could send a Divine Beast monster from your hand to the graveyard to add Monster Reborn from our deck to grave. Then we could send this face-up card to the grave, and then for this turn, we could special summon Winged Dragon of Ra from our graveyard using this Monster Reborn, ignoring its summoning conditions. But during the end phase, it will be sent to the graveyard. This spell pretty much not only would put the Winged Dragon of Ra into the graveyard, but it would also make it so that we could summon it with the Monster Reborn, even though it was not properly summoned originally. So that's pretty decent. Not really sure if there's any other Winged Dragon support in the box. I don't believe so. Next, we've got Machina. For starters, we got Machina Redeployment, which is going to help us search for our new Machina cards, which I will get to in a second. It's got 2 effects. You could discard 1 card to add 2 Machina monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, or you could discard a Machina to add 2 Machinas with different names from your deck to your hand. So that's pretty cool. And you're probably thinking, what Machina card do we need to search for? Fortress? Gear Frame? Of course not. We just got Machina Citadel in the box. That's pretty dope. So quick effect, we can target a machine monster we control, destroy that monster, and all monsters our opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it. And then if a face-up earth machine monster we control except Machina Citadel is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card's in the grave, we could special summon this card. So this is going to be a really annoying boss monster for Machina, and up until now, the boss monster for the deck has had to be Fortress. And I say boss monster very lightly because Machina has not really been a deck up until this very point right now once this box hits the game. So this is really dope for the deck. This is actually really exciting for the deck. This will make a really sticky boss monster that our opponent is going to be really annoyed by. What gave us for Machina is Machina Air Raider. We could discard another Machina monster to special summon this card from our hand, and then during our opponent's turn, it has the quick effect to target a machine monster we control and special summon from our deck 1 Machina monster with a different name and an equal or lower than level to that monster. Then if we do, destroy the targeted monster. So not only will we be able to use this to summon another Machina from our deck, we could potentially use this to prompt a Citadel that we have in the graveyard to summon itself. So that would also be really dope. And because a lot of the Machinas that we have seem to be level 8, we could potentially get a lot of rank 8 plays playing some Galaxy cards and things of that nature, as well as just some Link plays potentially. Another Machina card they gave us was Machina Irradiator. We could discard 1 Machina monster to special summon this card from our hand. Then we could target 1 machine monster we control, special summon from our graveyard 1 Machina monster with a different name and an equal or lower level than that monster. If we do, destroy the targeted monster. So that's pretty dope. Here will let us revive a Machina from our graveyard simply by popping a Machina on field. And also, like I said, for Machina Air Raider, this could also prompt our Citadel in the grave to resummon itself, as well as we do have that Fortress that we've already had in the game that with the rest of these cards. So Machina is in a really solid spot right now, and that's pretty dope. So outside of that, we've also got IDP. Yes, they've given us Ice Dragon's Prison finally in a box. It is no longer a selection exclusive. We can target a monster in our opponent's graveyard, special summon it to our field, but its effects are negated. Then we can banish 1 monster from each player's from each player's fields that have the same type as each other. So this is pretty dope. Now for our players that were not trying to spend that bread to go into a selection box and get this card, we can finally dig into a regular box and get this card. So that's dope. I am personally happy because I myself did not actually have this card, and now I will go get it because I was not trying to spend my money on going into that selection box. We've also got some Magical Musketeer support. We've got Magical Musketeer Max, a new Link 1 given to the game. This is not something that the deck will summon turn 1. It does have really great effects, so it does kind of suck that it can't be summoned turn 1, but I will go over it. It does require your opponent to have things, The first effect is we can add magical muskets, spell traps with different names from our deck to our hand up to the number of monsters our opponent controls. Then we could special summon magical musket monsters with different names from our deck up to the number of spell traps our opponent controls. So either way, this will not be able to be activated turn 1. Our opponent won't be controlling any monsters or spell traps, but because it is a Link 1, maybe this is something we'll go into to play through disruptions and get a little bit more on board, or, you know, maybe even just go second, kind of go first, you know what I mean, type of deal. So I'm pretty sure that is it for my side of the video. I'll have to catch you guys in the next video. I will be passing the ball to Undead. Your boy Weatherman is signing out. Deuces.
This is way too much to talk about with this main box, bro. We are really kicking off 2024 with a bang. Mayakashi got a couple new support cards and a skill to help them out. If you are unaware of the basic idea of Mayakashi, is that whenever a Mayakashi is summoned from the extra deck, their tuner revives itself and it's not once per turn. And this ends up with the new tuner on the field and the new extra deck monster on the field being used for another extra deck monster, which of course brings back the tuner, and we repeat the process. And you do this until you have a bunch of synchros in your grave, which is nice because if your extra deck Mayakashi is destroyed, you get to summon other extra deck Mayakashis from the grave so that they can gain their beneficial effects when summoned from grave. The new synchro summons itself from grave if your Link monster dies, and if it's summoned from the grave, it becomes unaffected by card effects that turn. And their new Link 3 has a grave effect to banish itself to revive one of your synchros, so you could resummon your level 9 or your level 7 to destroy a monster or back row. Basically, the deck has better survivability as well as some access to interruption now. And even better than that, the skill can speed things up, since if you have a Mayakashi extra deck monster on the field, then you can send up to 5 Mayakashi monsters from your extra deck to the grave. So you could possibly go right into Link plays and skip the synchro process by sending all your synchros directly to the grave. Normally, sending an extra deck monster to the grave directly from the extra deck means that they cannot be summoned, but this skill bypasses that ruling. I think that this makes Mayakashi a hell of a lot more playable, since you could play Mayakashi extenders to go into the Link. Not needing to rely so heavily on a tuner for your synchro plays is great, because synchros are much easier to interrupt than any other mechanic. All you need to do is flip down or remove the tuner, but that isn't the case anymore. Just go into your Link 2 and you should be able to fill your grave with synchros. But of course, it would still be good to take advantage of that tuner, since that many summons is great. I don't necessarily think that this deck's going to be all that competitive, but as a zombie fan, I'm definitely going to be trying this out to see if it might have a chance in the meta. Osmos are another deck that got support in this box. This deck is mainly obtainable in a whole different main box and through level up rewards. So this box isn't going to be nearly enough if you are looking to get into Cosmo, but if you already have Cosmo, then this box buffs it by giving their field spell Cosmo Town. This is a great card for recovery and consistency. If it is destroyed, it searches any Cosmo card, so you could even destroy it with your own Dark Destroyer to search for the interruptive back row this deck has. And it can also add back banished Cosmos at the cost of burning yourself by 100 life points for each of that monster's level. That basically means that this card's going to be able to guarantee follow-up plays for you. And then lastly, you can shuffle Cosmos from your hand into the deck to draw the same number of cards. So hand fixing on top of everything else means that this is going to be a great utility card for Cosmos, which I'm definitely happy about, considering that this deck has finally gotten 3 copies of Dark Destroyer from level up rewards. This deck might actually have everything it needs now to start popping off in the meta, but we will still need to test it to be certain. Constellar's got a new support card and a skill as well. Basically, the skill means that any of their Constellars don't have to care about levels when it comes to normal summoning and Exceed summoning. And the skill can also send Constellars from your deck to the grave to help you get your revival effects set up nice and early in the duel. This new box also got an extender for this deck. It can special summon itself as long as you control a Constellar. You can also search for Constellar back row. There aren't really any good Constellar back row, but there is a continuous spell that draws a card every time you Exceed summon a Constellar Exceed. The biggest thing that helps this deck though is the new bundle that gives Constellar Pleiades, which is a quick effect bounce, a really nice interruption as a rank 5 for a lot of rank 5 decks. But in Constellars especially, since it being a rank 5 doesn't matter, with a skill letting us ignore levels for Exceed summons. This deck has a bunch of other Exceeds worth summoning too, as well as it can also go into generic Exceeds. Let us know if you want to see a video about this deck. Also a fairly free-to-play archetype in this box, Gunkins or Suships. Basically, they are sea ships made out of sushi, and their main boss monster has a quick effect to negate opponent's monsters equal to the amount of your own archetype's extra deck monsters that are on your field. So at the bare minimum, this guy's going to be a single negate, which could be nice, and I have been told by Cybergears, the Magic-Key and Suship expert, that they might actually be really good in Magic-Key. So some testing is definitely going to be going down in the Discord. Be sure to join the Discord link in the description to join in on the conversation. Weatherman already talked about Ice Dragon's Prison, which of course is super self-explanatory. It's a staple that everybody should try to get, but we have another card that might be interesting to use generically if your deck doesn't have any normal summons, and that's Condemned Witch. On summon, she searches any forbidden quick play spell like Forbidden Chalice or Forbidden Lance, and during the opponent's main phase it has a quick effect to special summon a level 4 fairy from the deck. You could potentially use this if your deck doesn't have its own normal summon to search for Chalice or Lance to help protect your combos, and going first you could just search Chalice or Lance's added protection or interruption to go alongside the rest of your board. I don't think that the quick effect to summon a fairy on the opponent's turn is that important. You could look through all the level 4 fairies in the game to see if you can find something you think is worth summoning with this effect, but I can't think of anything myself. The way I see it, this box is mainly worth going into if you are looking to get Ice Dragon's Prison or Shadal's, and then the rest of the box is if you are looking to support other decks you already have. Ra is cool, but it isn't that good, and then Mayakashi, Constellar, Cosmo, Musketeer, Machina. Clearly you can see this box is aiming to support a lot of decks that definitely need the help, and I think that's definitely a good thing. I definitely think that boxes like this need to exist to help other decks, but when I compare it to some of the other recent boxes that have a great mix of support for old thing, but also a lot of great new thing, I feel I have no choice but to see this box as the Shadal and IDP box, and maybe Suship as well if that one ends up being a sleeper. For that, I personally give this box 3.5 stars out of 5, and alongside Weatherman giving the same score, that gives the box a 6k score of 3.5 stars out of 5. But let us know what you guys think about this box. What would you rate this box? What are you excited for from this box? We want to know, so be sure to tell us in the comments below. Other than that guys, if you liked the video, then slap like now, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell to get notified every time we make a new video. Have yourselves a good one guys. We've been Team 6K, signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the Weatherman. I ain't ask them to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake but it ain't on me. Got clean so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast.